welcome to Grassroots Magazine. Tonight I'm pleased to welcome the authors of The Accidental Manager. So we've got Simon and we've got Mark, and then we've also got Rich with us from Grassroots as well. So guys, do you want to tell us a little bit about the book?
Well, firstly, thank you for having us on. We really appreciate it. I remember we first met 2 years ago when we first released it, and we sort of relaunched it. I think the original idea was after we finished managing, we both managed kids teams, didn't we, our sons, from the ages of, for me it was under 11 to under 16s. And then after we'd come out, I think it was more looking at some of the craziness around it and some of the stories that we had to tell and some of our experiences, and realising there was a lot of crazy stuff going on that we had to really write about, some of which weren't good because parents and adults and other people kind of ruin it for the kids a lot of the time. That was kind of my reason for writing about it afterwards.
We just had to get some of the stories down, because when we sort of talk about the stories to people face to face, they're like, did that really happen? But now you've got it down in black and white. I think people tend to believe you. But no, it was enjoying doing it. It took a long time to get the book up and running, didn't it?
It certainly took a long time, didn't it? You know, I think I first started it about a year after I finished managing. In the end, I was running out of steam. And I thought, right, let's get marketing.
How did it take them from the initial idea to that?
From the initial, I don't know, 4 years, I think. no, it wasn't that long. It was about that, wasn't it?
I think
My first chapter, I've done a couple of chapters that I was quite happy with, and then I didn't do anything. COVID happened, didn't it? I didn't do anything at all, business and stuff, you know, and then we carried on.
From the moment I got involved, I think it was about a year, wasn't it?
After that, I think once we took it seriously, maybe 2 years if you take out the 2 or 3 years in between, you know.
So did you find it was a lot to write it and get it like to be a book? Like, was that hard, like getting it from off paper to be an actual physical?
I'll be honest, to be fair, the writing was the easy bit.
Right,
for me. I mean, I used to just sit and write in the tea break, and I could sort of sit there and just read it off, because it's your own experiences. You're just telling, you're trying to write down exactly how it was. The hard bit was proofreading. We had to proofread it ourselves. I mean, our publishers, although they got the book up and running, we got leads. What how do you say?
I mean, to say that we were naive, wet behind the ears, you know, that sort of thing.
A lot of mistakes were made.
A lot of mistakes, because at the time you just think, well, if you're going to write a book, then if it's good, then you know the rest will take care of itself.
They're just going to take it, and sort it out.
That's not the case.
Right,
you need proper people around you that can actually do it. We were misadvised on quite a lot of things. So even though it was good, you know, the reviews have been great, and we're happy with the product, and 99% of people have been very complimentary. But I think that was the hardest part, wasn't it? Sort of, it's not so much writing it, but it's just the process of actually getting it published
and being physical.
I think so, because there's a lot to it, and like Mark said, the actual proofreading. Both of us, we've barely read a book.
But it was good, because when you sort of initially send the draft off, it's only a snippet of it, and then you have to wait for them to come back and say, oh yeah, you got a book here. And luckily they did, because we was adamant we had a book, didn't we? And to be fair, I mean, they told us, like, just get 300 printed up, because not a lot of authors sell a lot of books in the first year. And we was like, no, we've got something much bigger than this. We know we have, so we got quite a few more printed up, and we sold them within a year.
Well, we learned, didn't we? They say that the average self-published book is 300 copies, and that's what they were recommending. And
right,
we were like, this is nonsense. I mean, what would be the point of doing this, to sell 300 copies?
Lose money.
Lose money, but also what would be the point?
You
know, we want it to go to a lot of people, and for them to obviously hear about our experiences, and we were sure that it would resonate with a lot of other people, because let's face it, in the football world, up and down the country, it's all the same, isn't it? Same people, same situations, same problems, you know.
It's funny, because obviously we met you when you first sort of were getting it out there, and you're kind enough to give me a copy of the book, and I've read it. And it's like I've done that grassroots management bit, and I could relate to so much of it that it was like, oh my god, I know this person, like, you know. And it's like my favourite bit in there is the bit around parents, because it's so funny. And I was reading it, like laughing to myself, and you started to picture who those people are. Or...
Yeah, I think like when I read it, I think I constantly was going through my head all the time because we don't know. You don't name the clubs that.
No.
No.
Anyone local knows who they are.
Yeah. But I don't know. I still don't know the team now.
If we told you, we'd have to.
Yeah. Classified.
I read it on holiday and I was still like sitting on the plane reading it and I'm thinking, it could be that club. It could be that. And I'm sort of like constantly second guessing now. Or maybe it's them. Maybe
It's funny because we did a podcast a few weeks ago and we were talking about, what sort of gets you about sort of grassroots football and stuff like that.
I saw your podcast. I thought that you're brilliant. I loved it.
And Rich was talking about when people put anonymous
That's
posts.
right.
It's always a bad review.
Yeah, and it's always bad. It's always
It's just a moody parent.
Don't get Mark started on that. The anonymous review.
And then
reply to everyone.
My one was like when it says like looking for defensive midfielder must be experienced for our under sevens. And you're like, what? Sorry? Like, what?
He's got years of experience.
Yeah. It's
playing since he was 3.
I think I saw one where they was looking for an experienced under 7 goalkeeper.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's bits like that, and they're the sort of funny bits that I think in the book. I think the biggest thing to anyone who does read it, who has not even managed at grassroots, but I think been involved anywhere along the line of grassroots football, will relate to something in the book.
God, yeah. And that's the one word that comes back every single time.
Yeah.
Is how relatable it is. We've had people sort of comment and say it's like reading their own autobiography, and it's rewarding for us to hear that, isn't it?
It really is.
In a sense that we've produced something that's good, but in a sense not so good because this is happening up and down the country. These bodies still.
I think that exactly. Yeah, it goes back to what we originally said was whilst because I think even recently I've said this. We thought that our experiences were perhaps a little bit extreme.
Yeah.
We'd been around just local clubs, 2 clubs or whatever, and we thought that this is really bad. What's happened, the way they're treating, the child welfare, the kids, and just the general conduct of the adults around this. We thought it was bad. But then when you realise that actually that's just normal. We were getting messages and feedback from all over the country. I mean, from Scotland down to the south coast.
Right, so it's a national thing.
All we got was, this is so relatable. That was the one word. This resonates. This is relatable. And like Mark said, it's good, obviously, that we can get through. But bad that this is just the norm. So our experiences weren't actually that unusual. That's just fairly common, and the fact that that's fairly common, that's a worrying trend.
But we do also mention in the book quite a lot that now, I think when you come out of it, you realise you were part of the problem. Because you get so engrossed in the football and the will to win, the want to win, but you're being a little bit put under pressure by the parents as well. Because the parents are sort of almost a little bit like, well, if we're not doing too well, I might go and join another team. And you think, I don't want to lose that boy because he's a good player. So you get so engrossed in it yourself. I mean, my wife and my daughter, bless them, they went through it. So did my son, to be fair, at times.
Long suffering.
And it is. It's just like say you do become part of the problem without realising.
It's like when you start to realise it when you're, you don't stop training. Because you're frightened that player's going to go off to another club.
True.
There's little things like that, isn't there, that you kind of think, oh, hang on a minute, why haven't I given them a rest? Why haven't I given them that time? Because you're so nervous about, or, they'll come and say, oh, my friend's playing hit, and you're like, what? It does make you nervous, and then, like you say, you get caught up in that.
You do, and it shouldn't be happening. No. It's ridiculous, really. I think one of the chapters in the book we write about that, don't we? The fact that at some points you get, even after you're doing well, everyone's happy, but you're getting other managers coming up to them and saying, "Come to us, do this and do that." And it is ridiculous. We're talking about children.
I think,
if they're happy.
Let it be.
I think, like now as well, you've got the sort of the JPL level above. Well, I suppose above grassroots. Then the kids are going to go and trial for JPL teams, and then obviously that affects you. Then you lose a player because they're gone the JPL teams seem to stockpile players because
definitely.
and then you've got that side of things, and
I think.
So if you are successful, then you've got the kids that want to go on next level.
Although I would say to that, like, we were always lower divisions, so for us it was just there was no way any of them. Later on, a couple of kids could have gone on a bit, but basically they were never going to do anything. But yet that didn't stop other managers trying to say, well, I'll give you the riches of one division up in the South End League. You know, you're going from what, D to C or B. You know, come on, relax.
Yeah, some of them are so close, those leagues, aren't they?
Yeah.
And there's no real difference.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, you know, and they go, I'm taking them because I think they should try it in the Prem.
I think they should try
like the Prem, like it's only one league above us, and we were like near the top last year, and they were near the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're probably pretty close to that. Yeah. So, and I think you know, like now you have sort of like these like academies as such, and like you're sort of you're paying for better coaching, really, like you know, and a lot of that, but it turns heads, and then kids get sort of pulled across to that away from their grassroots team, and I think, and then the problem is with that is like where do they sort of go from that? And I think especially in girls football, they're doing like a lot of the real academies, like the real sort of club academies. They're sort of like not minding if the girls play on a Sunday, like in grassroots, because they realise that grassroots girls leagues aren't massive anyway. Like it's starting to grow and it's picked up a lot of momentum. But actually, if they take these players into these academies and then they don't make it, there's kind of nowhere for them to go. Yeah. So they're kind of not necessarily encouraging it because they don't really, you know, they don't want them getting injured and stuff, but they're accepting of it. Where in the boys, it's very much like if you're in an academy, we don't really want you. So there is a bit of that as well. But it's.
I think also there's a difference between the academies and then the
so-called
academies.
Because you get like the shadow squad, the development squad, and all that, especially like the team in Essex, because we had a few boys there. And then one of the parents come along and said, "Oh, like my boy's in the academy," and I just said, "Oh," I said, "Are you paying for it?" Yeah. Went, "Oh yeah, I've got to pay X amount." I said, "Well, he's not in the academy." No, I said, "That's the difference." I said, "You're paying."
It's a coaching school. It's affiliated.
And to be fair, you're getting better coaching. Twice a week, and that's what you're paying for. That's
well, the thing is, we went down
in theory, but then
in theory,
I don't know how much improves on that.
I mean, the coaches, like so, we're like a couple of our boys were. The coaching was really good, but the problem was there was too many boys. I mean, I went down there one time, and it was like, you know, the Chase over in Southend, 5 side pitches. There 22 boys in there. In one, and the coach. I mean, don't get me wrong, Harry done a coaching session in that. I remember I come out and I said to him, I said, that like, how you put that on was unbelievable. I said, but you've got too many boys. And he said, we're trying to get rid of them. You know what I mean? But the problem was one of the coaches joined that club to be a coach. And he brought his team along.
Right. You know? Okay.
And they all come along. So then you've got another sort of 15 boys to turn up, spread across like 2 cages. Already 10 to 12 players in a cage, and it just weren't working.
It's just hard. Yeah. So how's the book been received? Because obviously it's been out there, and like what sort of feedback have you been getting from it?
Really good. We the original print has sold out within about a year, didn't it? And the ebook. So at one point we got to number 1 on the ebook thing on the sports coaching of Amazon, which was good. But you know, the main thing for us was the reviews and the feedback. I don't think we had a single negative comment, which is fantastic.
The only ones that were the anonymous ones, right?
I think there was one. There was only one person that dared to actually put a review.
But one star.
Anonymous, 1 star. Well, no, we got one the other day, didn't we? Yesterday. We talked about this earlier. 3 stars. But it wasn't 5-star because he had to pay, was it 38 quid for a book?
£38 for a book. It's got nothing to do with our control.
We're not selling it for Amazon, so some chance.
So somebody resold it.
£38.
I mean, it's a good book, but I wouldn't pay £38.
So obviously, like, you're really honest about like the pathway that you both went on, because obviously one had one side and one had another side.
Well, at the start we were both at the same, so Mark got me into it to begin with, and I was still paying for that. He was already a manager, and my son wanted to play. He was like late to come into it, so I spoke to Mark, and Mark was really accommodating, and he went from there. So we were actually under the same team for a year or two.
It was like an umbrella. So
yeah.
I started the team. Well, another guy started the team. And I was kind of his assistant. Took over without really understanding what I was doing, if that makes sense. And then we just grew. We got a lot of interest, and then, like I say, we needed was it a third team we first started? Fourth team. Fourth team. And we was just all under one umbrella, but we was trying to keep all the boys playing football, because you know you get these teams and you get like one player that's not as good as the rest, and he just sits on the bench most of the time. Our idea was to get a group of players, try and find out where their level was, so they could play loads of football, and it worked to a degree until they started getting a bit older, and then the parents started getting more vocal, didn't they? And then whenever we set up a new team, the parents couldn't grasp that their boy may have been in the third team. He hasn't moved from the third team. But we've created a second team because we've had a big influx of players that were good. Or that sounds a bit nasty, but maybe a bit of a
so you tried to keep it on ability wise rather than...
Yeah, and that was it. And it was working for a while. It did work for a couple of seasons.
I think it worked to a point, but when you're in the fourth team, which was the lowest team, it was difficult, because you'd have the higher teams that were effectively getting rid of players. So I think Mark was in the top team, so it didn't really affect him, but it was the two teams in between. And you had guys coming to us, and it was quite a ruthless environment. And for kids at that age, it wasn't right, you know. So we had kids that didn't necessarily want to be in our team. They're there because they were shut out the team above.
On the flip side, there was lads, if they didn't want to move, like if we thought they could move up or move down, if they were adamant they didn't want to move, they didn't move.
Right.
Because you had a player, didn't you? Which the guy who I was running the team with at the time, which I was unaware of, tapped him up to come and play for our team, because he was a very, very good player. Tapped him up, and he was like, "No, I want to play with Simon." He said, "Like, you knew his mum, didn't you?" And that. So the only reason we're here is because I know Simon. Yeah. And I was unaware of this. I think. Did you approach me?
I went to a training session. I think I went to get a cup of coffee, and suddenly this guy's tapping him up. And I said, "You're a good player, aren't you?"
Scout.
Can I
it was a bit like that, yeah.
Can I leave
scouts out?
Yeah. The mum had to send an email to the club and just say, "Can you back off?"
I like what Mark did. He sent him and then went, "I didn't know nothing about it."
I know.
Yeah.
I think it was his idea.
I don't think I was actually doing that. I think I was off that Saturday.
Yeah, we spoke about this recently, didn't we? Where like when we were at that age, there was just one team and one club.
Yeah, I saw a podcast. That's a good point.
And you didn't have sort of, if you was not in there,
there was no such thing, was there?
Like now, the club that I'm at, if there's enough players, they'll open up another team, and it grows from year on year out. But what there is also at that club is that there is no first, second, third. Sort of thing. You'll get a really good player probably in each team, but because he's friends with the rest of the team, you'll have that, and there's no sort of moving about.
But you do kind of know who the best team is.
Of course you do.
You know.
I guess so. Through like leagues that.
And they're probably in high division, aren't they?
Yeah, but there's no sort of movement between. He's.
No, they'll put them Tigers or Lions or whatever.
And you know what division they're playing in, so you'll know which team is the better. But there's no sort of movement. He's scored 4 goals last week. I'm going to go and take him.
Do you not have any movement at all? I mean,
not that I know of. Obviously, the club has probably got around 50 teams. Yeah. So, and obviously across a lot of age groups. I do the girls, but as far as I know, I don't think there's any sort of movement between. But is that right? I don't know, because then you're
because like I used to manage a club with somebody else, and we were the same. Like we had like first team, second team, and so we'd kind of try and do it that we'd have conversations saying this boy's really outperformed this year, and we'd try and move them. But again, it's hard because the person going up, that's the easy bit. It's the person coming down, and it's just having and I think it's about that honest dialogue with parents and sitting them down. And some don't want to hear it, and some just accept it. Like some of the parents, like some of the sort of what I'd say are non-footballing parents, kind of go, look. It's like kind of thing, and but they're the kind of, I think sometimes it's that not letting the parent know and being honest with them that really is the struggle, because then there starts to be like a little bit of a clash with the.
And also, parents have sometimes got very unrealistic
Yeah,
expectations of their own
think so.
child.
Yeah, because we did have a lad once, and he dropped down a team, and I remember talking to the dad on the sideline when what was going to happen, because he wasn't happy in the team he was with. He wasn't getting a lot of game time. I suggested him to go and like move down, which was one division.
Yeah.
I said, and he was like, no, it's that you're out of order, you can't do that. And I said, look, it's about him playing football. You know, I said, and I guarantee you, he'll go and play in that team, and he'll be one of the best players.
Yeah. And
it turned out, but at the end of the season, he walked away with players player or manager's player of the year, one of them. Yeah. And his dad actually come up to me after that, and he said, you know what? He said, you was right. He said he loved it this season. You know, and for him, at the end of the season, for him, his boy to be picking up a major trophy, he said, like, I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
It is about the boys getting on the pitch, boys and girls getting on the pitch and playing football
and just enjoying it. Because the thing is like, I think that those sort of early years, and like, you know, the FA sort of say like swap their positions and all that, and I do get the thought process behind that, because it does. But eventually, you get to a point where you know if they're a defender or they're attacker, and like they just naturally fall into them positions. And I think it was easier to play kids when we were kids, because it was 11 aside from day one. Now you sort of go in, like you kind of do like mini kickers, and you've got like 20 kids over there, and then you've got to split them into 5-a-side teams, so you want like sort of 7 in, so you kind of go, oh, all right, we've got enough for 2 teams, but then it's almost like you've got a double team, so then you go 3 teams, and then you're trying to get parents to manage it, and to your point, you kind of become an accidental manager just because they're like, right,
no one else is there.
here's the team. This guy stepped forward and he's taken this kid, and then the next person's stepped forward, and then the third team is kind of like anyone, and like you kind of just go, oh, here's your jacket, here's a bag of balls. Sorry, you're now a manager.
I think that was me.
And the thing is, this
go on, you'll be all right.
This whole sort of levelling, yes, there is kids of different abilities and stuff like that, but you know, these kids that are like third team, or to your point, Tigers or Lions or whatever, they, you know, by the time they're sort of 40, they can be like actually have improved, and the kid that was here. So like it's constant. I think it's
especially
a constant,
as they grow older, especially as they become young men in our case. You know, physicality.
I think losing interest. You know, like you know, all of that sort of thing, and it's a constant. It's a constant beast. But I just think.
To me, I think a huge issue in junior football is the whole sort of game time, winning or equal time, and I do think that at younger ages, equal time is correct.
Yeah, definitely.
It becomes very difficult when you get to teens, you know, because, and in the end, I was very much, I'll give the option to the parents and the kids playing, because in my mind, it's very, very almost impossible to win something whilst doing equal time when they get to young men. It's because that's just the way football is.
They want to win.
They want to win.
Once they get to a certain age, they just want to win.
The thing is, you play football to win. Like,
you do,
It's a game. Tell me a game that you play to lose.
Well, that was what our issue was with some of the clubs. You know, there was no understanding of the fact that as these guys are getting older, especially when they get into 13, 14, 15, they want to win. Their enjoyment, all that it's taking part, their enjoyment is to win. You know, I've never ever seen a kid come off a pitch that's just been smashed 4-0 happy. You know, even younger ages, but there's, you know, fair enough, younger ages, it just doesn't happen, does it?
They forget about it, don't they?
But I do think the clubs have got a complete, you know, to pretend or think that winning doesn't matter at all. As ever, the answer's somewhere in between, isn't it?
It's that as well. Like we sort of touched on, like some of the coaches about I think a lot of it is massaging their egos as well, a lot of them, because they don't want to give up. They want to win sometimes more than the boys. You know, or the girls.
Like trying to relive their.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Because they're always like, you read in the book, you've always got that parent, I could have been a pro, you know what I mean, if you work for me cruise ships and everything like that. And you think, all right, mate, go on, join the queue. You know what I mean? It's
I discovered birds and beer. And I'd have made it otherwise.
To be fair, I would have made it, but I was really awful at football.
If it wasn't for that little thing.
If it wasn't for that little thing, I reckon I could have made it.
If you're good enough, you will get there. I mean, I had a lad coming along, didn't I? Coming from a different county, joined the team.
Yes.
All of a sudden, started banging goals. We was in the A division, and we was like a mediocre team, middle of the table sort of team. He turned up, we won the league. You know what I mean, he was banging goals in. I went to a tournament. One of the top Prem teams at the time, his coach came over and went, "Is he staying with you next year?" And I went, "Yeah, of course he is." He went, "Oh, I was hoping he'd come and join us, like in the Prem." I said, "Well, we've just been promoted to the Prem," and everything like that. Anyway, he ended up getting poached to a junior alliance team and everything like that. But it just gets to the point, doesn't it? It just gets to the point where it's so aggy, you know what I mean? With it all, you know. And it's kind of like the boy ended up being overtrained. You know what I mean? He was, and then like say about getting somewhere. Once you start banging the goals in and doing things like that, people heard about him. And all of a sudden, he's got a trial at West Ham, trial at Southend, trial at Colchester. You know, people contacting us. We had West Ham come down and watch him.
Yeah.
You know, and that's well, it goes back to if you're good enough,
but doesn't that
you will get there.
Kind of go back to the original point about the academies? You know, there's people that he was great and
he was off the scale,
spotted like that. You know, if you're good, you'll get. Don't worry about paying club, you know, X amount because you're affiliated with whatever. You know, it's not about that, is it? If you're good, you'll get.
Yeah, definitely.
But what that boy done when that boy joined us, because he was so good. All of the rest of my team now went up another level. He brought the whole team up another level, like with standard. And then we went from there to the Prem. We ended up finishing third in the Premier League in our first season, behind the two teams that were in the County Cup final.
Right.
So we were. I'm not saying we were the third best team in the county because we wasn't, but we was competing with teams that were going for the County Cup. You know? And like I say, for us, it was an enjoyable season. Stressful trying to manage it.
That's the thing is like. I run a girls' side just this year, first year, or last year, first year, and we've won pretty much every single game. They hadn't won a game in the previous season, but we've got a few players in. All the girls just want to play with their friends, so they're all in the school team together. A couple was another club, and they were like, "I want to play with you," so they would come over. and we put a team together. They won pretty much every game, and you knew that you were close to winning it, but the pressure, that it was because you went out and we drew one, and it was like. We've drawn one, and you're looking at the teams below you, and then it then becomes like you're going out the next week, and then you're saying to
if we lose this one as well,
if we get the draw, then then they're gonna catch us, and then you're looking at the games because that's left, and you're sort of thinking we might have to do a few double headers here, just get the points and get it across the line. So starting the season of it's got to be better than last. We didn't win a game. To
the pressure of trying.
You're sitting there after Christmas going.
It's massive pressure. I remember being in that situation. I'm looking at that league table and working out what other teams are going to do.
You think that's a win, that's a draw.
Yeah, so I think I've done the maths on it.
But if they win that and they draw that, we've got points. It's ridiculous.
Because we was in a title race, and the last game of the season, we only needed a draw. And we've never lost to this team. We've beaten this team every single time. Went over to Canby, lost 3-1. I walked away from there thinking we're playing the league. We've been top of the league the whole season. We were smashing teams, 7-8-0. People on the sidelines, people were even saying it's like watching Brazil sometimes. You know what I mean? And it was great. But then, like I say, we drew one. I think we lost one, and then we needed to win this to sort of guarantee the league because the other team chasing us were just well on form as well. And they were going away to a team second or third from bottom. We're thinking, oh, we've got this. And then one of the dads, because his boy was went to school with someone in, they phoned him up and said, "Oh, we've just beaten this team."
Oh, I know that.
And he was like, what? And then he told me, I went, nah, I can't believe that. And then, we only sort of won, but the stress that day, it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Like someone said something to me really important that, like, they'll play the game, and no matter what the score is, if you ask the girls, not necessarily the girls, but the boys, whatever, what the score was in the previous game and who scored, most of that team would not be able to tell you.
It's true.
There will be some kids, and I tried it. I went to training and I went to one again. What was the score to win? Don't know. Like they'd won. I knew the score, and all the other parents would have known the score, but she didn't know. And then you ask another one and say, I think it was 5-3. I think it was 6-1. And you're getting like different. And who scored? Don't know. I think she might have scored. Well, she definitely scored. And then don't know who got that one. It goes out of there.
I think the stats mean more to the manager, don't they? Because they know what's involved.
Yeah, and the parents know.
The parents.
They're sort of like they're in it a lot of time more than the kids.
Crikey, we had virtually a off-site scout, didn't we?
Yeah.
When we didn't have a game, he'd go and watch the team that we were playing the following week, and he'd be like, "Oh, they done this. They need to try and move a player here and counteract."
Then he'd give you a dossier.
It'd be like that, and I just say, my philosophy was always, I don't care what the other teams do. Let them worry about us. That was what I used to sort of play.
You love, like, I used to love that, like, you'd have that parent who'd like quickly put on the group like the league and the results, like, and you think you must be sitting in your car after the game waiting for the results to be posted, like, to get it out that quickly.
Yeah. We have the Spond running, and you obviously run it live, and the guy who was doing it was updating it live on the other side of the pitch. I'm standing there, they'll go 1-up, and I'll look at my watch and go, I know that. I've just witnessed it, and it's going through instantly. I was doing my coaching course though, and someone else had to take the team because it was on that Sunday, and I had the phone sitting there, and I'm sort of like, Spons come up, they're winning 1-0, and I sat there, and the guy who was running it, he asked the question. He could see me look at the phone, and he said something, and I went 2-1. Not 2-1. What But yeah, my head was far too. Yeah. You just get too involved in it, and I
mean, I know those last couple of years, I remember spending just such time looking at tables, working out permutations and what would happen, and I was a bit of a geek with that. So I'd look at the goals scored, like, they're good at attack, they're good at defence. So I'm probably opposite to Mark in that I would change depending on who we were playing. If that makes sense.
Definitely change, because you sort of you do someone that, if you was playing someone that you think like bottom of the league or whatever, and they haven't won a game, you think, right, we can relax a bit here and sort of maybe play some of the so-called weaker players, give them a full game, give them a run out and all that. You have to be a little bit clever with that sort of management side of it, just to try and keep everyone happy. But I think, like I say, going back to trying to keep everyone at a certain level, they should get 75% of the game every week anyway. I mean, sometimes it might be half. Well, sometimes it might be like you turn up, you've only got 11 players. You know, so, or injuries, players got to come off or whatever.
I think it is more difficult when you get older, though. You know, when because the parent pressure as well. You can't win with parents. On one hand, they want everything to be equal. They're their boy to play. On the other hand, they want to win. And
you can't have both.
You can't have both. You know, I think in the book there was one chapter we put it. So 1 week I've got from the same parents. It's a great match. You know, the boy's brilliant. It's great to see a smile on his face. Week later, we won 2-1. Week later, we lost 2-1. Oh, mate, I'm not being funny. This ain't the right level for us. You know, and this is what you got. You know, so
I think, like, from reading the book, like, one of the bits also that I found interesting was within the same club, the different treatment you got. Like, you know, like you were the first team manager and you were the fourth team manager, and even within the same club, you felt like you were getting a different experience. And I found that bit really interesting, because I do sometimes think there is that sort of, not click, but there are certain cliques within clubs as well, because, you know, you'll have somebody who's been there years and this person's been there years, and, you know, like they've sort of, you know, like the more sort of senior teams in there, they've been in that league for like 10 years, or, you know, like they've taken their team up in that club, and you kind of come in as a new under-7s manager, and it's a bit like, like, you know, and I think, but you were saying it was completely, you were in the same age group and you felt like
it was terrible. That's why we left that first club, the first club that we were both manager at. I was so disappointed, quite upset actually. It was quite distressing when you saw the way that the establishment there, you know, the chairman and they just allowed this situation to happen, where you had this fourth team which was like really like misfits. No one cared about them, you know, and they'll do, stick them over there. And I remember, like, we didn't even have enough players to do a full team for a match.
Start the season, wasn't it?
Start the season. And then the team above us that were in the Grand Division D as opposed to E, you know, they had like 4 subs. You're like, what's going on? This is wrong. And then I remember a couple of boys joined who were quite useful, and we were told, no, they're going straight to that. If they come to you, they'll give up football. They'd rather not play at all than come to you. Really? That isn't really a club, is it? That's different teams, and But I mean, we talk about in the book, don't we? A lot to do with the chairman and how he allows the running of different teams.
The club that we was at, it was when I first joined. It was run. I thought it was run really well. The chairman that was there at the time, he ended up leaving, and another guy took over. Who was like a Gestapo. But and he said something that stuck with me for to this day. And he said it's just as hard to win at Division D as it is the Premier League. Doesn't matter what league you're in. It's just as hard to win that league. You know what I mean? Which is so true, and it's just as rewarding. You know, so it doesn't matter whether you pick up a Div T title or a Premier League title. The celebration is still
exactly the same.
How joyous it is.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and when he left, I just felt because some of the old guard had been there for so long, and it was more of a community club. And then because the guy that took over, he had probably the best team in the club. It kind of changed a little bit. You know, like the mentality of it. It was more about. I remember turning up one day. He was in charge of cutting the grass. We've gone over to training. He's cut his area.
Right.
For his kid, the grass is like 3 foot high. We've turned up like you've got 15 teams over there, and the only bit cut is where he trains.
Yeah.
And then he's got 2 goals, and there's only about 6 goals over there.
I remember turning up and there's no goals now. I said, what's going on? He said, no,
we had to fight, didn't we? Every time because we had the 4 teams.
Grass over there is all dog shit.
We had the 4 teams at the top. We got put right at the back, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we had the 4 teams at the top. We were lucky if we got 4 goals between us, weren't we? You know what I mean? Like 1 goal per team.
And there is that point of like you're at a club and it's like again if you're the sort of newbie to the club and it's like oh I'm right over the back for training, or like you go to set your pitch up and like 3 of the other teams have been there at like 6 that morning and put all the flags out, and you go and you've got those broken corner flags, and you've got a corner flag about this long. You've got one that's tied on, like the ties have come off of it, and you've like hung it over the top. And it's like, oh right, okay, like all the bottom of the bin ones, like and it is weird, isn't it? Like within the same club, and
he sort of because he sort of tried to get me on his side, didn't he? Because I wouldn't say I'm not going to say I had an influence on the club, but. Where we had a lot of help, our parents were just fantastic for helping out. If we had a 5-a-side tournament or tournament, we would flood it with our parents. They'd be like, no, our age group, we should do barbecue all weekend, and apart from the afternoon or morning we weren't playing. And then I think he spotted that, and he's not a stupid man. But then he got into me, and then all of a sudden he offered me the vice chairman. I thought, oh yeah, I can change this a bit. I got in there and I realised that the people that got involved were just yes men. And I we had a meeting in a change room before a training session. I got down there about 7:30 or so, had a meet, and I just sat there. I just went, I can't do this. I said, I'll quit. I said, I ain't doing it. So I'm not doing it. I can't listen to this no more.
It's an echo chamber. Do you remember we used to have the meetings where you'd go every month or whatever?
Oh God!
It would just be Groundhog Day. It'd just be the same. I can't listen to this anymore.
You could leave the planet, couldn't you? You could leave the planet, get dropped in a meeting, and you could say exactly what Mum
moaning about what's wrong, whilst refusing to do anything about what's wrong. It's just.
And then you'd always get the under sevens coach turn up, and he'd be putting his views across, and you're sitting there thinking, I've heard this for the last 10 years. Nothing's changed.
I know. But that was a bad club, though. I mean, my breaking point was when we went to the training session. And the other 3 teams all had sponsors, so they had brand new kits at the start of the season. It's like the boys are all excited, they're getting the kits, and no one had thought about our team at all. No one had even asked me.
I think with that though, I think that was slightly different to that because I think it was because the team was there so late. I think that was what it was because the sponsorship hadn't come in yet. And to get the kits,
but like no one had asked, like because I'd have sponsored them if I had to, I'd have done anything to make sure they've got their kits. I didn't have the money then, but I ended up doing it, just because I didn't want to feel left out. But to see all the kids being paraded in front of this full team who already got a confidence dip because they all take the piss out of them, and and this is all under the same club, that's wrong.
That's what I always said. I was never do youth football ever. I'd always done men's football since I was 16. I went into like the pub circuit and played for one pub team because your mates did, and all that. Never had any interest in youth football, but I sort of got roped in. I got 2 girls. Both of them were doing dance and bits like that. I never thought either of them was going to. And then all of a sudden, she wanted to play. You go in as assistant, and then you end up. Like this year.
How different is girls' football? Because we've only ever done lads' football, so we don't know.
As in parents just as competitive, or
I'll be honest,
I get the impression it's a bit better.
It's a lot less.
really, really lucky, and
nice set of parents.
Like, I could probably count the moans on one hand, and they're not sort of heavy moans. It's just, could you have done this or could you have done that? And I've been an open book with what I've done. I said, if I'm going to do it, I've got to do it my way. And I very rarely get questioned on what I've done. But I suppose they're like my daughter's friends, and so their parents and things. So they're not going to be heavy on me. And also, we'd had 2 bad seasons previously, so going in it, anything was going to be.
Yeah, I think there's a different. I think there is a different culture around, like at the games. There's not as much like you get odd teams that are still like that and stuff like that, but from the sideline, it's not the same sort of.
You don't hear.
It's not the same intensity. It's not the same language, and
but you can sort of hear boys' games going on the pitch next to it, and you can hear sort of whinging and all that. I've got to be honest, and I've said to my assistant that we can't hear anything coming from our parents. I'm guessing things are said on that side of the pitch, but not to the level where we would ever hear it. So I don't know. I suppose it is.
I think with the guys' football that we managed, what always interested me was the way that as the boys got older, so under 11, under 12, it's a certain level, 13, 14, 15. By that last season I did, under 16, it was crazy. Like the parents seemed to get more aggressive with the boys. But how does that work?
I think it becomes in their mind it becomes more acceptable, doesn't it? Like like I think we spoke about it before when we were talking about the book, and it's like you take your kid to football and you've got like dads berating kids that aren't even their kid. But you take them swimming with the same guy, and he wouldn't be shouting out to the kid that was doing the backstroke wrong. Come on, why are you not doing the backstroke right? But that same person is, like berating at somebody else's kid, and it kind of becomes like a norm. Like, and it's weird, isn't it? When you think of it like that, you wouldn't go to, like a swimming lesson and start shouting at the kids because he's sinking.
I think that's what we said.
Would have been the same as either.
That's what we said in the first chapter, I think, isn't it? Like in what other world would you go to a kid and just start berating them, like you said, Andy? The commitment ain't there. You're not doing it today. Wake up and smash. All this sort of thing. If they'd come back, like I think the example we give, kid comes back with a nice picture from school or whatever. It's no good. Where's the commitment? Where's the, you wouldn't do that, would you? And the behaviour around our football pitches, and that's what I think was a major cause of the book, was that behaviour wouldn't be acceptable. You'd get arrested anywhere else. Stick a pitch out, and all better off. And that is totally wrong.
And I think...
and the FA aren't doing anything about it. That's our other thing.
They're not doing enough.
They're doing anything.
I think, like at one point in there where people hiding behind I'm a volunteer.
Don't get me started. That's what I think.
That is his thing.
I hate it. Honestly.
But then I wonder, like, pretty much in everything we do, like, the people at the top end of the FA have had to be interviewed. Why are clubs not going? All right, you're going to be coming in the new under-11 manager. Come and sit in front of the committee. And have that interview to find out what you're
because that's the thing for me.
Almost like character.
It's like you said. You turn up and there's not a manager, and you sort of know something about football, and you go, okay, like I'll do it, and they give you. So your book's really honest. Like obviously you've both put your really honest bits, which like as I said when I was reading it, like some of it I could really sort of relate to. Have you had any backlash because of how honest it is, or not really?
I think so. I think the bigger backlash has been as a result of, because we wrote a book and we wanted it to do well, which it has done. But what we wanted really was to send a message to and raise awareness, to change the culture. That was really important to us. And on that front, we failed miserably. Because we have to look at ourselves, but every single time we try to do anything productive with the FA, we just get ignored, frustrated. I mean, when it first went out, we contacted the SXFA and we try. I send you a copy of the book. We're really trying to change the culture within football. Can you have a look at it? Can you talk to us? Can we work together in some way? And they ignore it. It follows the same pattern every time. I think in that bonus chapter we say it. They ignore. When you chase them for the third or fourth time, they come back and say, "No, we've got robust measures in place. We'll contact you if we need anything." Okay, so it just goes on and on like that. You never get anything done, and it's incredibly frustrating. It's deflating, isn't it?
Well, you had a lot of dealings with them, didn't you? A lot more than me. And the frustration every time I spoke to you about it was getting to you in the end, wasn't it? And I think that was why you needed a break, we needed a break sort of from it, because we was just getting nowhere.
We were just getting absolutely nowhere. And it was quite upsetting really, because we were really trying to, all we're trying to do is raise awareness. That's the same things we were talking about. This shouldn't be allowed, in any society. Why is it different around football and that sort of thing? And I think the last straw for us was when we went on Radio Essex.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And we were interviewed by Penny. Glenn Penny.
Oh, Glenn Pennyfather.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Lovely fella, and he had us on, didn't he? And we were talking, and we've been trying for ages. There was this review about grassroots football and we've been trying for a long, long time to get some figures in terms of in SXFA how many clubs have sent in, because you've got existing code of conducts.
Yeah.
So all we wanted to know was how they've been implemented, how many disclosures have been made, how many players have been fined, how many parents have been, and all the rest of it. And they refused point blank to give us information. I even saw my MP, to try and exert that pressure, and we couldn't do a subject access request because they're not a public authority.
Right. Okay.
And they didn't care what my MP said either. They just refused. So then we went on that show, didn't we? And then up to then we've been asking for this information time and time again. And finally, a BBC journalist who'd done a piece on us as well, she made contact because we basically said we're going on there today. She made contact that day. Funnily enough, on the same day after us, months of trying, they produced a statement, didn't they? Yeah. We were there.
He read it out, didn't he? We didn't know what it said in it.
We had no idea because they refused to deal with us. What did it say? It was like there's going to be this new review of grassroots football, junior football, and it's out in December or whatever. And we were both like, okay, all right,
fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
And he said to us, if that's true,
that's good.
That's great.
Great. Yeah.
Of course, fast forward to December, it comes out. The first thing I've noticed is I don't think this includes junior football. It's grassroots football. It doesn't include. Then trying to confirm back to SXFA, who've used this in an interview to say that this is a great thing. They then went back to ignoring. Oh no, we don't know. But you went on Radio Essex and you've said this. Some very kind parents from over the country, like people who read the book, spoke to their FAs. Midlands, Northampton, Manchester, London, all over the place. And eventually we got to the point that he didn't include junior football. So
was it the London FA confirmed?
Yeah, finally the London FA confirmed. He said, no, absolutely not.
I wonder how much actually gets reported though. Like how much?
Well,
or do people just walk away? Like do people just have enough?
Well, exactly. The reason we did it, let's be honest about it, is we knew full well that these existing code of conducts were not working. And we didn't need to see the stats to know that, but we thought if we can highlight the fact that you've got these code of conducts, which you all hide behind, if you've got that in place, then surely if we get the stats on that, there's only 5 million people, kids playing football there must be, and we see it, we have a walk around on Sunday, we're going to see lots of issues, aren't we? Yeah. So we're going to see hundreds and thousands of disclosures.
Yeah. I do wonder whether it is the actual club stop it, because we write about a story in the book where I've sort of come into almost like an altercation, totally provoked. Shouldn't have reacted the way I did. I'll be hands up, and I was well in the wrong. But when I went to my chairman and said, that's not what happened, I'll fight this all the way. I'll fight it all the way. Yeah. Best you forget.
Yeah, just leave it.
Best you leave it.
That's
they don't want to know.
Yeah, that's the they don't want the egg. Like how much sort of goes above club level and is reported to the FA where
very little.
Yeah, that's.
But I think that what we could have done is if we could have got that official figures, we could have proved that nothing's happening.
Yeah.
You know, because if you've got millions of kids playing, but there's only
and I think
20 disclosures, then
It's back to resources again, isn't it? That is...
I think a few clubs are just taking it like they're doing it themselves. So like there's a club that we've done some work with, and they've now got volunteers. But they've got parent volunteers.
Do you know that with volunteers?
Yeah, and they basically have high vises on.
Yeah.
And they're there for respect, and they'll walk round and they monitor games and like.
And to be honest,
it's working really well. They do it at a tournament
we were
as well,
at a tournament
didn't
over there, and you've got a volunteer parent that walks around with a vest on, and they're in charge of the parents.
Conduct, yeah.
And I thought it
not a bad idea.
I thought it was a great
Yeah.
thing that they're doing, and I did wonder how it would work. But then go into their tournament, and you can see that parent, and that parent was stepped back from the line.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of times in people like these guys or girls in high vises approaching parents, shouting or saying that's not on and all that. And I thought
it was good. Yeah,
you can't rely on the referee every single time to control
But
parents.
the thing is, that's a big job to do.
Yeah,
though.
it is,
I mean,
yeah,
you're going to get grief, aren't you?
Yeah,
doing that job.
And you've got the managers on the other side of the pitch now, so it's not like the manager can control the parents because they're
the other side of the pitch. Yeah.
So to have that one parent that is, or that parent is going to be responsible for making sure certain things are done and they're behind the respect barrier.
Yeah,
it's
good. It's good. And you think, but again, that could be an incentive that's made. You have to have it.
Yeah.
Like that could be at every club. Like you have to have one of your parents has to be for all your home games has to be the sort of warden for the parents, and there's like an official bit that they can report into. So if you played a club this weekend and you had to tell them several times for the same thing, you can. There's a channel that on a you know, like when you're filling out your results, you could just fill out. Actually, the warden had to speak to them about this conduct. Like it's quite.
I suppose the only drawback to that is going back to what the actual punishment is for that. In terms of, all right, they can make that report. Yeah. But then,
what is the repercussion of it?
Well, I remember my last season, we write about in the book, my last season, there was a horrific incident. One of my players got spat at and it resulted in a complete pitch invasion. Parents were, it was awful. It took about 4 months to finally, and I think they got fined 30 quid. Yeah. We got fined a tenner because I didn't control my parents, you know. It's like, so, well, that's really sold it, isn't it? You know, and it was so horrible at the time. It was a serious offence. You know, that's got to be dealt with quickly. So I kind of agree with the sentiments, but unless they enforce it and do something, then
maybe you need to pretend as a scout turning up every week to watch the
players
play. And by the way, as a scout over there from West Ham. You know what I mean? It's like,
we're going whispering every parent's I think they're here to see your son.
So your book, you re-released it. So that was end of last month. Yep. It went on re-release, and so do you want to tell everyone how they can get a copy of it? Because I think if you're involved in grassroots football, like I said, even if you're just playing grassroots football or you're managing, I think it's a great read. I really enjoyed reading it, and like I said, where I have managed at grassroots level, I could definitely relate to quite a lot of the book. So so how do we get a copy of this?
Well, someone's always missed the website.
It's the only place you can buy the new edition, and it's actually got an extra chapter at the end, which is our stories mainly with the FA for the last 2 years, getting everyone up to date. It's from our website, theaccidentalmanager.uk.
Okay.
Yeah. What we'll do is we'll put a link in the comments.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. And how much is it?
£9.99.
Perfect. Yeah, I think for £10, it's a great read. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, no, thank you for having us. We really appreciate it, and we love what you're doing, and all the best with your endeavours.
Really good. Thanks. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's video with the Accidental Managers. Please have a look at the book. Check the link below how you can get a copy of the book, and please subscribe.